One of the things that I think immediately stands out to anybody who hears about your project is the fact that this is a first in Canada.
What's your story? What's your sign? It's like we're twin flames in a different life.
Hi, so my name is Shaneen. I'm a registered nurse and living and working in Calgary. I spent a lot of my career working in hospital and labor and delivery, and it kind of didn't really feel like it resonated with me too much. So I kind of moved to the mental health field. So right now I'm in community mental health and working with those who are vulnerable, who suffer from addictions and those kind of things.
And I'm Paveena. I'm an advanced care paramedic working and living in Calgary. My career's kind of been primarily with the vulnerable populations in Calgary, facing homelessness and addictions. We're really excited for the Stonewall project. It presents a holistic view on healing.
A lot of people are really excited about this project. I've started doing some work with non-for-profits like It Gets Better Canada, and when I told them that I was having you folks on the podcast, they got really excited because they're familiar with your work. So feel good about that. You're already getting the word out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is good to hear that people are, hearing about the project, and hopefully that will, motivate them to contribute. Even we have a GoFundMe page that can help us.
One of the things that I think immediately stands out to anybody who hears about your project is the fact that this is a first in Canada. Can you talk a little bit about that? It must be both an exciting and daunting journey to be the first.
It really is. Yeah, we us and the team that we work with, Stephen Archambault and Brittany Sawyer, they're actually the brains behind this operation. I guess they had kind of looked at the addiction treatment kind of area and noticed that there was a huge gap. They encountered a trans woman who had the choice of, do I go to a male only treatment center or a female only or a mixed or where do I fit in? So they kind of saw that gap and they wanted to fill it. And a lot of treatment centers, they say that they're LGBTQ two-spirit friendly. And then once you actually look into it, they don't actually have specific programs tailored to them. So
yeah, it's been a 10-year process with Brittany and Steven. So we're even honored just to be volunteering with them right now. So it's been amazing. And it's going to fill a lot of gaps that we need in our system for sure.
I'm still just blown away. 10 years in the making.
Yeah.
Started out with just a small idea and it's kind of evolved and grown into something incredible.
Yeah. Well, I, as a queer person myself, I so see the need for it. Talking about kind of the disproportionate needs in health and how some people, whether they're a minority or marginalized population, don't feel like they can be fully transparent with their healthcare provider. I even feel that on just such a basic level as a woman.
One of the barriers that we've recently come across was that, most people, if they go to a therapist or something, it's handling one problem at a time, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully Stonewall will be a program where we can handle multiple things at a time. It's going to be very refreshing just to have a whole wraparound holistic program. That out of the total population in Canada, 9% are homeless. And out of the 9% of that population, 30% are queer and 30% are Indigenous. So like 60% of the homeless population makes up the Indigenous and queer population, right? So right there identifies the needs that, we need help in that area for sure.
With healthcare and mental health care in general, people who are not, cisgendered, or there's a lot of things that they, if they're going to a queer safe space, oftentimes it's a bar. So it does lead to addiction and also social isolation, untreated mental health conditions, untreated chronic conditions. Even, people, they notice symptoms and they don't go to the doctor because they might not feel safe. They might feel pressure that they have to educate their doctor and educate all the staff. And it just comes with a lot of extra weight when you really just want, to go to an office to be listened to. And that's not always a guarantee.
Oh my goodness, this is resonating just on so many levels. And I think I'm just kind of having this boom moment because so much of what you're speaking about, I've heard echoed in the interviews that I've done. Queer folks in the province that really lament that aspect of only being able to have queer spaces be so consolidated in alcohol-centric spaces. And it so makes sense that it could be this kind of roadmap to addiction, like you're saying.
Specifically in Calgary, there was an article that came out on the news just about how, the queer safe spaces are closing down. A lot of them aren't here anymore, and most of them are bars, unfortunately. One of the big focuses for Stonewall is that community and inclusion, right? And making a community and choosing your own family and having a say in your own treatment and your own therapy. What's so refreshing about this is that there's not one way to do this. You know, usually with therapies, you go in for a 12-step, you go in for 90 days, you're in and out, you get your chip, you're done. With this, it's so many psychoeducational programs, it's life skills, it's wraparound care.
That's something that's been embedded in, you know, Canadian statistics forever is, you know, if you're doing a census, it's male, female.
Yes.
And then sometimes there's male, female, and then
intersex.
And those are the only options. So there's a huge so there's actually a company, I think it's Toronto based, it's called TransPulse, and they actually did a study specifically for you know, trans and on that binary sexuality and gender. So they actually has data specifically for that. Canadian statistics don't often include people who are, you know, closeted or who don't feel comfortable expressing their feelings. If you're not counted, you don't count. So like really like wanting to create those safe spaces for people, not just in bars, but in community and in friendship groups and in other social circles, right? And even having, you know, sharing support circles, that kind of thing would really, you know, help people feel comfortable in expressing their needs and expressing what they feel like they need from their healthcare and their government. So
absolutely.
Yeah, like that's what we're here for, right? We're here to advocate for that. And
People are hungry for community. They are hungry for safety and acceptance in especially a medical and care provider capacity. We're talking about the intricacies of queer identity and how that affects your relationship with your healthcare provider. It's even further so when you have additional intersections like, say, race or ethnicity. How does Stonewall Recovery kind of see a vision for intersectional lens of healthcare?
One of their biggest slogans right now is nothing about me without me. So anything that's revolving your care, their care, you're going to be a part of, or they're going to be a part of, right? So
and a lot of treatment programs that you go to, they're just treating the addiction. They're not looking at your identity, you know, your confidence, your look on yourself. So if you're just focusing on the problems, then you're ignoring all the other things that might have contributed to that problem in the first place. So if you look at somebody holistically, you're looking at mind, body, soul, you're looking at, you know, trying to heal in every way, and using community for that as well. So strength-based, resilience-based, looking at, you know, your skills and what you're good at to kind of bring people up a little bit.
What are some of the programs that you're going to have coming up that'll be more, I guess, readily accessible that exemplify that mission?
The things that they're planning to do in the intake process is for someone to really look at their own identity, because in order to go through a treatment process, you have to start with a clear idea of, you know, who you are and what you want to achieve through your treatment process. So one of the things that they wanted to do is help somebody create their own flag, you know, look at their own identity, even if they can't label it. Like just put it out in image form or just some sort of creative way to kind of really start the process with a firm idea of maybe who they are, or maybe if they don't really know, like, okay, now I need to kind of figure this out as I go through treatment process. So we can't tell you, you know, what your specific needs are. So the client is going to be able to kind of help tell us.
Yeah, and one of the biggest differences is that like our intake process, like you said, is very intense. Well, not intense, but it's
thorough.
What's the word? Yeah, thorough, I guess. Yeah. They're on so it's like a 3-day intake, right? Usually when you go to a treatment facility, it's you go and then the same day you have like 3 therapy sessions in the same day, and then like you're sharing a room with someone. Like you really have no advocacy. In this program, you're gonna have, you know, your own room, your own bathroom, like you're gonna have your own space.
It's such a juxtaposition, being based here in Alberta, often known as the Texas of Canada. Can you tell me a little bit about how that feels?
It's obviously very exciting, but it's also a little bit I don't know what the right word for it is, not ominous or scary or anything like that, but like, you know, we've had like a lot of like protests happen lately, and you know, like drag performers in libraries can't be like, you know, have been canceled lately. It just highlights the need for this, really, like, and like my passion's going up every single day when I hear articles like that, because I'm like, okay, wait, you know, like we need to start changing the mindset of people, and you know, start showing that this is not a problem. Healing people, this is bringing everyone as one. You know, there's no need for discrimination. And
people will avoid going into social settings for fear of, you know, being identified as queer. So yeah, there is that fear of violence in going to a regular treatment center.
Cool things about Stonewall as well is that the healing will be done in cohorts. So according to your age group, like for example, 18 and 24, like your brain hasn't fully developed yet. So, you know, like to heal together with those people will be very beneficial, and then to have the next cohort with those age groups together. So again, building that community and, you know, recognizing peer support and recognizing that there's a huge need for that.
I'm proud of Alberta, you know, for being such a conservative province, and for having such a big community that, you know, is working towards this project is very inspiring. And I think that, you know, the hate is there. The hate is loud, and it's sad that sometimes that, you know, the love and the, you know, the positivity is sometimes a little bit silenced by that. But we know it's there, so, you know, we are not going to feed into the hate or negativity. Try not to look at too many comments and things like that on queer articles, because there is a lot of hate, and we've noticed that, you know, news outlets are blocking comments on queer posts, which is sad, because you want to hear the positivity as well. You want to hear people, you know, commending queer projects and you know, the queer momentum in the culture. So to have even the you know, the good feedback silence is kind of sad, but hopefully, you know, the love gets a little bit louder.
Yeah, love will always prevail. We know that. Yeah.
How could it not?
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, major cheese, but for example, I don't have any social media, so like I'm very particular about what I look online for, right? And like it is very easy to like go down the hate group, right? Just start reading the comments and, you know, start just absorbing their fears and projections, right? So but it's if you just find other people, right, that are on the same page, then there's nothing but love.
Especially for young people, right? And oftentimes, you know, young people can be placed out of their homes because of, you know, their sexuality or their gender identity. That's just a whole other layer of trauma to heal and support to provide.
Even me, I've been feeling that internalized fear a little bit with how things are in our community and in our province, with that loud voice of hate. And it's made me a little nervous to release our stories for fear of backlash and everybody suddenly knowing that I'm this gay anthropologist in Lethbridge. But to hear your excitement and just how it truly fills every word that you say, it reminds me of why this work is so important, and especially important right now. You remind me that despite the stereotypes, and something that's been a theme of this series is that despite it all and what anyone else may say about Albertans, we are strong, we are vibrant, we are resilient, and we are gay as
Yeah, so super gay. Yeah, exactly.
I really want to get to the heart of who Shaneen and Paveena are. I know about your professional careers, I know about your motivations, but as Albertans doing this work, that's really important that people know who you are.
We've been together for going on 2 years. We met through work. I'm from Fort McMurray, so I'm from northern Alberta. And kind of when I was growing up, there wasn't like a visible queer community to me, just because of my family circles and social circles. So not to say it didn't exist, but it wasn't in my kind of radar. So when I kind of did discover, you know, my queerness, it was when I moved to Calgary. I got exposed to different people, different things, different communities, and really just kind of like looked at myself and kind of looked at my own identity. And I still don't really have any labels or anything like that, but I'm still learning. And
as long as you're happy,
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so.
Stressing.
So I was born and raised in Edmonton. I was honestly very blessed growing up. I had a super supportive family. I was a tomboy my whole life growing up. My family used to call me a hybrid. So like, it was just, you know, yeah. So like I was one of the one-offs. I was super, super lucky. Coming out to my family was really easy. Everyone was super supportive. But yeah, still though, even with the way the culture was back then, or, you know, way like schooling was and society was, you know, it wasn't, I didn't feel comfortable acting on it, right, when I was in Edmonton. So I didn't really explore that side of myself until after high school. And I knew my whole life anyways, right? But still, it just shows like how, you know, the movies we watch, the culture we have around us, when we go to school, right? It's just very different now, which is very good. Like when I told my nieces and nephews, they were just confused as to why I was even telling them, right? So I was like, that's like heartwarming that like, okay, this is not an issue, you know, it's not a thing when you guys are growing up, which is just awesome, because that means change is happening, you know. We're gonna get there pretty soon. So
yeah, even in like the media and that kind of thing, like, nowadays the kids are seeing that kids are seeing podcasts, kids are seeing movies, kids are seeing, books and stuff like that, so that, prove that you don't have to fit into, a box that you've been told to fit into, right? It's inspiring. It makes me happy for the next generations.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's so funny, Paveena, about your nieces and nephews, because when I came out to like my aunts and uncles, it was like dramatic telenovela, like out the window.
Yeah.
But when it was my little cousins, they literally just did not care. They were like, oh,
Yeah.
all right, you're lame.
Yeah, they're like, why are you stopping? Like, why are you quitting playtime just to tell me this?
Yeah, can we resume the Netflix? Yeah.
Yeah, but it just shows how much change has happened in, just like 50 years even, right? So it's exciting. We'll see how much change happens within the next like 5 years, right? Like
yes. And I hope it's forward change and momentum and not regression. Yeah. That's my fear with what we're seeing in the United States. But I think organizations like Stonewall Recovery are really going to be important in that fight.
We're so blessed to be able to be a part of this project, and we have nothing but positive intentions with it. So hopefully we can heal a lot of people.
Yeah, and I'm just like stuck on this one fact. I didn't realize that all three of us were Northern Alberta girlies. Like,
let's go.
I know. I grew up 3.5 hours northeast of Edmonton.
Yeah, it's crazy just even in Alberta, the change of North Alberta versus South Alberta. Like moving to Calgary, especially Lethbridge. Like I spent some time in Lethbridge too. Yeah, I can't even.
It's so warm here. Like what the heck?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're using -45 every day. And then come over here, but you guys had it way worse than I did though.
Horrific. Yeah. Shaneen is very brave to be up in Fort McMurray. I don't think I have the skin for that.
That's a good thing we all moved down here then, right? We're smart about that, yeah.
And it's so funny because like, talking about moving, I don't know, it seems like you two both came out in your hometowns.
No.
Is that right?
Well, yeah, like I guess kind of everyone knew in my hometown anyways.
Everybody called it
afterwards, but yeah, everyone knew anyways. But
I started dating a woman and just kind of slyly came out.
Oh, okay. Like when you were in Calgary, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you and I have that similar experience then where like I didn't come out and realize who I was until I moved to Lethbridge. And I think it's pretty funny because, Lethbridge is viewed as this very conservative small town, but it was like gay central for me, which was fantastic.
Yeah, I've heard it called Lesbridge before. You don't have to put that in.
Oh, that's going in. That's definitely going in.
A couple of my friends have said that before, so
that's insanity. I've never heard that before.
You never heard that? Yeah.
Never.
I lived in Red Deer for 2 years, and that's what they refer to the Lethbridge business. So.
Lethbridge. My girlfriend is gonna love that. She's gonna love that. Oh man. Well, I guess in kind of wrapping up here, are there any kind of like short-term goals versus long-term goals for Stonewall Recovery that we haven't had a chance to touch on that you maybe like to share with a larger audience?
Yeah, honestly, the highlight would just be around that holistic wraparound care, community inclusion, right? Like those are the biggest things for this program. Yeah. You got all three of those? Yeah. Nothing but love.
As members of the same community, I think that all three of us understand the deep necessity for a center like this. But one of the great things about this podcast is we have the opportunity to reach a lot of ears, including those that are from outside of our community. What would you say to maybe somebody who's from outside of the community who never knew this was an issue about why this is so important?
It is a different community. They have different needs. They have different struggles. They have specific obstacles that are just based on them being queer or them, their gender identity. We're just hoping to educate people and, come across as authentic and really hope that people see that and hope that they want to help work towards a project and kind of change those issues that people are facing and they don't have a solution for. So hopefully they want to help us make that solution possible and accessible to people.
Just to be open to change, right? Like society's constantly changing, we're constantly evolving. And, it's wild to think that in our parents' generation, if they went to a bar and were holding hands of the same sex, that they could get arrested, right? Or they could be fined. Like that's insane to think about, right? So, just being open to change and realizing that, this population is in need of help. And we can't just overlook it anymore, right? It's been overlooked for years and years, and now it's time for change. We have the right people to do it, so it's happening with or without people. But we'd like people to come, right? So be open to change, and know that this is for the collective healing, right?
Yeah, and good allyship comes with a voice. Good allyship comes with action. So if they want to help us, advocate, for these issues and for the project, then I hope that, we have those allies out there and people who are coming at this with hate. I hope that they, will at least listen. If they have a, a hateful opinion or a biased opinion or judgmental opinion, hopefully they at least want to listen and hear, and they can still have their opinion afterwards. But all that comes with a conversation, right? And if you're not willing to have a conversation, then you can't be reached, right? You can't change your mind. So
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and also and all those targets of the hate, right? And all those victims of the hate as well, right? Know that like that person is also going through trauma as well, right? If they're showing hate, you're projecting, right? In my opinion, anyways. So to just have a different view on that and perspective on them, on those haters, right? Just know that like they're obviously going through a lot of trauma too, right? If they're not open to changing, then it's only their life that they're deteriorating, right? The more that we feed into the hate, right, it's causing a negative effect on us too, right?
Yeah,
so
that's, you carry that, right? Like if you're absorbing that hate, then you have to carry it. So just let it go. Don't carry it anymore.
Yeah. And obviously easier said than done, but with the right community, with the right people around you, right, with the right therapies and everything like that, it's possible, right? Like we've been there firsthand, right? So we know when we have the passion for it, and like I said, we're very lucky in a lot of senses, but we can help a lot of other people who haven't had that privilege before.
And healing is not linear, right? Like if you're healing and on your path of healing, sometimes you might have a bad day. Sometimes you might, feed into those negative comments, really feel that hate, but just know that you're not going to be there forever. There's, you're going to keep moving onwards and upwards, hopefully. And
I was so excited to just speak with you with the basis of what this project is. But when you talk about the right people, the right conversations, I genuinely think that you two are the right people to be doing this work. So thank you for involving me in it.
Yeah, thank you as well. Yeah, you're the right person to be doing what you're doing, and all of your achievements and accomplishments prove that, right? So we'll be supporting you 100% of the way too. Yeah.
That's crazy.
We're not that far away.
Me.
a lot of affection, a lot of love today, which is nice. So
thank you so much for coming on the show. And are there any last words, any last thoughts that you want to share with our Queer in Alberta audience?
I feel like I've been talking the whole time. I feel like I've yeah. Just again, thank you so much for having us on this platform. Hopefully we'll have many chats in the future.
Oh my God, absolutely. You're welcome back anytime you want. Thunder and rain, we got this.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll for sure keep in touch. Yeah. And again, thank you so much for everything you're doing. Just to be able to even have a platform to speak about all of this on is so amazing. And for how quickly you're accelerating and going up in your area is awesome, right? It shows how much change is coming for us. So it'll be good. It's awesome.
Come alive.